13 minutes. That's all it took to erase Russia's most fortified supply hub from existence. October 16, 2025. A single Ukrainian strike obliterated $310 million in military assets, 960,000 pounds of ammunition, and 3.2 million gallons of fuel before Moscow even realized what was happening. This wasn't luck. This wasn't brute force. This was surgical precision born from 93 days of patience, intelligence gathering so meticulous it would make spy agencies jealous, and execution so flawless it changed the entire trajectory of the war. The operation was called Silent Dagger, and what Ukraine pulled off that night will redefine how the world thinks about modern warfare. Stay with me, because the details of this story will blow your mind. Hit subscribe, drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's dive into how David just shattered Goliath's spine. The fortress that shouldn't fall. 93 days before strike. For 3 months, Ukraine watched, not with binoculars and notebooks, but with technology that makes science fiction look outdated. From concealed positions near Uliaipol, teams from the elite Kraken reconnaissance group deployed Leleka 100 drones that could read license plates from 5 miles away and detect engine heat through concrete walls. Think about that capability for a second. Every single night, Ukrainian operators logged when floodlights flickered, when convoys arrived, when guard rotations changed. Not approximately, exactly, down to the minute. And what they discovered was staggering. Tokmak wasn't just another supply depot. It was the beating heart of Russia's entire southern front. This single logistics fortress pumped 480 tons of ammunition, 12 million liters of diesel, and 300 spare tank engines every single day to sustain 4 Russian brigades entrenched across occupied territory. Inside the compound, 7,200 tons of artillery shells, 1.8 million gallons of aviation fuel, a repair hall where technicians rebuilt Orlan 10 and Lancet drone systems on an industrial scale. Every morning, a train carrying 52 wagons rolled in from Melitopol or Jankoy, offloading cargo worth nearly $180 million in military inventory. Per day. The defenses? Absolutely terrifying. 3 security rings enclose 2.7 square miles. Outer radar coverage by Tor M2 systems. Middle ring of Strela 10 launchers. Inner ring of ZSU-23-4 Shilka anti-aircraft cannons that could shred aircraft like tissue paper. Over 180 soldiers patrolled in shifts, backed by 6 mobile Pantsir S-1 units and 1,200 surface-to-air missiles in ready storage. Russian doctrine classified Tokmak as Zone 0, no forgiveness. Translation: any unauthorized aircraft within 12 miles gets targeted and destroyed in under 7 seconds. Even a drone transmission error could trigger retaliatory strikes reaching 40 miles, all the way to Zaporizhia city. This wasn't a supply depot. This was a fortress that Moscow believed was untouchable. But amid all that armor and arrogance, Ukrainian analysts found something. A crack. A single vulnerability that would bring the entire structure crashing down. Thermal imagery from Maxar satellites showed radar coverage dropping 27 to 29% during weekly maintenance shutdowns. Every Thursday between 3:30 and 5:30 a.m., the generators powering the main radar grid went offline for routine checks. 2 hours. A ghost corridor in the sky above Tokmak. Inside Kiev's Deep Operations Command, intelligence officers circled that window in red ink. Dozens of planners leaned over satellite charts in absolute silence. The final order came from General Kovalchuk himself, his voice perfectly calm. Execute at 03:47. All units, go. If you believe intelligence and patience can win wars, hit that subscribe button. Because what Ukraine did next will leave you speechless. Phase 1. Kill the eyes. 3:31 a.m., October 16th. 15 minutes before the main assault, the operation entered its first critical phase. From a hidden tree line north of Uliaipol, 6 Ram-2 loitering drones and 4 Warmate-2 strike UAVs rose quietly into the cold air. Their engines barely whispered. Each carried a 7-pound precision charge designed to melt through steel and armor. Mission objective: erase Russia's air defense shield before the tanks advance. For 7.5 minutes, the sky above Tokmak became a silent chess match. The Tor M2 radar pulsed every 3.8 seconds, scanning for intruders. But Ukraine's drones flew low, barely 160 feet above ground, weaving through fog and power lines. On Russian screens, nothing, just static. Then at 3:39 a.m., the first strike hit. A warmate plunged straight into the Tor's radar dome and detonated with surgical precision. The explosion tore apart the antenna array and blew a nearby fuel truck into molten fragments. Windows shattered 4 miles away as fire rolled into the night. But then a problem emerged. One of the Warmate 2s lost satellite lock as Russian jamming scrambled its guidance link. For 10 excruciating seconds, it veered off course, straight toward Ukrainian lines. Ground operators reacted instantly, switching to manual control through Starlink uplink redundancy. The video feed steadied, the drone corrected, locked back on target, and dove directly into the Panzer S-1 radar array. The impact was catastrophic. The blast ruptured 2 nearby fuel tanks, sending up a 70-foot fireball that turned fog into daylight. Russian alarms erupted. Spotlights snapped on, slicing through the mist. The surviving Strela 10 battery fired 2 missiles blindly into darkness. Both missed, but the inner defense ring had awakened. 2 Shilka cannons and 3 Zu-23 anti-aircraft guns opened fire, red tracers tearing across the night sky. 5 Ukrainian drones disintegrated mid-air, falling as streaks of flame. Yet 3 survived. Ram-18 strike drones, flown manually through static and interference. Their operators steadied trembling hands as the video feed locked onto a cluster of bunkers holding 2,000 tons of artillery shells. At 3:43 a.m., 3 green lights flashed on control screens. Target confirmed. The drones dove. The feed turned white. A moment later, the horizon erupted. The ground convulsed. The air folded inward, and Tokmak's night sky was swallowed by flame. The fortress had just lost its eyes. Now tell me honestly, if you were the drone operator in that moment, watching your feed go white, knowing you were about to detonate 2,000 tons of explosives, would you have taken that shot? Drop your answer in the comments. Phase 2. Crush the response. 3:46 a.m. 3 minutes after the explosions turned night into a wall of flame, Russia's entire defensive network snapped awake. Sirens wailed across the base as emergency frequencies lit up. Command posts in Melitopol and Polohai went on full alert. From the south, 2 Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters lifted off, armed with 80 S-8 rockets and 12 Viker anti-tank missiles, their rotors slicing through smoke and debris. On the ground, the surviving garrison, barely 400 soldiers out of the original 642, scrambled to regroup. The base commander ordered his quick reaction platoon to advance through the tree line east of the depot. They carried PKM machine guns, RPG-7s, and sheer panic. But they were walking into a trap that had been drawn on maps weeks before. At 3:51 a.m., the second phase began. From Huliaipol, 38 kilometers away, HIMARS units fired 6 M31A1 rockets in rapid succession. The missiles streaked through night at Mach 2.2, their trajectories perfectly timed to intercept the incoming helicopters. The first warhead exploded just above the tree line. Direct hit. The shockwave tore the tail rotor from the lead Ka-52, sending it spinning into the ground. The second rocket struck a makeshift helipad outside Tokmak, obliterating a fuel depot and blocking any chance of emergency landing. As wreckage burned, Polish-made Crab self-propelled howitzers began hammering the eastern road. 6 rounds per minute, each shell weighing 100 pounds. One Crab round struck the descent path of an Mi-8 troop carrier. The helicopter detonated mid-air. Its burning wreckage showered the steppe for more than half a mile. Columns of Ural transport trucks waiting to push into the compound were shredded where they stood. By 4 a.m., the counterattack had collapsed before it even began. Air defenses gone. Reinforcements destroyed. The entire Tokmak garrison trapped inside a burning maze of craters and smoke.
Target neutralized. Phase 3, advance the armor.
Phase 3, break the gates. 4:03 a.m. The third and deadliest phase began. From the northwestern ridge, 50 T-72 AMT tanks and 40 BTR-4E armored carriers rolled forward in blackout formation, their engines growling like distant thunder. Behind them, 6 Wisent mine-clearing vehicles led the way, detonating hidden traps with controlled blasts that rippled through soil.
Advance grid 47.261, 35.714. Engage on site.
Within minutes, the Ukrainian armored spearhead crossed the first defensive perimeter, firing in synchronized bursts. Every T-72 AMT shell carried a 9.2 kilogram explosive charge, enough to punch through reinforced concrete. The first volley hit the southern warehouse, igniting over 200 tons of stored ammunition. A column of flame shot 300 feet into the air, scattering burning debris across the rail yard. On the Russian side, chaos turned to panic. The remaining 380 soldiers tried to form a defensive line near the shattered fuel depots, but the ground was already collapsing beneath them. The air smelled of diesel, burning insulation, and cordite. Machine gun fire rattled through smoke. Brief, frantic bursts quickly silenced by tank cannon fire. At 4:07 a.m., a Russian BMP-2 platoon attempted a counterattack from the eastern gate. They didn't make it 100 yards. A single Javelin missile launched from concealed position struck the lead vehicle and set off a chain reaction. 3 BMPs exploded in sequence, their ammunition cooking off like fireworks. Drone footage captured what came next. Armored columns fanning out through wreckage. Infantry dismounting and clearing each corridor with grenades and night vision optics. The ground trembled under synchronized rhythm of steel tracks and artillery thunder. Overhead, Punisher UAVs orbited at 3,000 feet, transmitting live coordinates for precision strikes. By 4:15 a.m., the entire central compound had collapsed into a burning crater nearly 300 meters wide. Fuel tanks burst like dominoes, sending shockwaves that registered 2.4 on regional seismographs.
They're inside the base.
In the space of 13 minutes, Tokmak's proud fortress had become a graveyard of armor and fire. And from the smoke, the Ukrainian flag began to move forward. Phase 4, erase the command, 4:18 a.m. Tokmak was no longer a city, it was a crater of flame. Temperatures inside the burning compound reached 100 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt steel beams. The air shimmered like liquid fire as Ukrainian assault units advanced through ruins. Step by step, rifles raised, faces streaked with ash. Their orders were clear: no positions left standing, no hostiles left breathing. Overhead, Ram-18 drones fed live infrared images to the command network. Screens showed dozens of red heat signatures still moving among collapsed hangars. Analysts counted 43 active combatants and at least 60 wounded Russians crawling through debris. Every position was marked, triangulated, and erased within seconds. A single Crab 155mm shell detonating near the storage corridor produced a blast radius of 90 meters, enough to vaporize anything above ground. On the western flank, 4 T-72 AMT tanks advanced through wreckage glowing orange from residual heat. Their 125-meter APFSDS rounds punched through concrete like paper, collapsing 3 underground shelters and sealing 37 defenders inside. Nearby, the shockwave from one tank blast toppled a watchtower half a mile away. At 4:24 a.m., Ukrainian sappers reached the southern sector command bunker. Inside, they found what was left of the Russian staff. 5 officers, 2 burned maps, a melted radio still transmitting static to Melitopol. The engineers placed 6 pounds of thermite and pulled back. 30 seconds later, the heart of the bunker disappeared in a white flash. By 4:29 a.m., resistance ceased completely. 402 Russian troops eliminated. 2,140 tons of ammunition destroyed, 9 fuel depots vaporized. Total losses valued at nearly $240 million. The blast waves were recorded by seismographs in Dnipro, 160 kilometers away. As dawn spread over the smoking ruins, the last radio call came through Kiev's command net. Quiet, unshaken, resolute. Objective secure. Tokmak is ours. By 5:02 a.m., October 16, 2025, Tokmak had vanished from the map. What had once been Russia's most fortified logistics hub was now a 3-square-kilometer wasteland of smoke and molten metal. Satellite images taken by Maxar Technologies hours later showed only scorched earth where 12 warehouses, 8 fuel silos, and a command complex once stood. The total loss exceeded $310 million in military assets. But the blow reached far beyond the battlefield. In Melitopol, supply convoys halted abruptly. Fuel deliveries to the 58th and 70th Russian brigades dropped by over 60% in a single night. By sunrise, Ukrainian artillery units on the Zaporizhzhia front reported something unheard of since the war began: no return fire. The destruction of Tokmak severed the main artery of Russia's southern command. More than 7,000 troops across the sector were left undersupplied, cut off from food, fuel, and ammunition. In Kiev, the operation was hailed as a strategic decapitation. Western analysts called it the most precise ground-air coordination strike of the war. Within 48 hours, several NATO partners authorized new aid packages, $1.4 billion in precision munitions and armored recovery vehicles. Proof that Ukraine's success could move not only front lines, but governments. But even victory carried its silence. Among the wreckage, 11 Ukrainian soldiers lay still, the price of breaking a fortress thought untouchable. For every explosion that lit the night, there was a family waiting for dawn. Still, Tokmak's fall delivered a truth the world could no longer ignore. In modern warfare, power is not measured by the size of an army, but by the intelligence, patience, and precision of those who refuse to surrender their own land. And as the smoke cleared, one question remained for those watching from afar. If you were the commander, would you stop here or strike again before Russia could regroup? Here's what you need to understand. This wasn't just a military victory. This was a message. To Moscow, your fortresses can fall. To the West, support works. To the world, Ukraine is not just defending territory. It's rewriting the rules of modern combat. If you believe Ukraine's courage deserves to be seen by the world, hit that subscribe button right now. Stay with us as we uncover the next untold story of this war. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts. Because these stories matter, and your voice is part of making sure they're never forgotten.